As we begin Genesis chapter 40, we know that two things are paradoxically true. Joseph is going to prison, and the Lord was with Joseph. He worked 10 years for his boss Potiphar, who was the captain of the guard and the chief executioner for Pharaoh. So the incident with Potiphar's wife would have happened when Joseph was 27 years old. Is it possible that someone with 10 years of exceptional work history could throw it all away for one mistake? Yes, it's possible. The prisons are filled with everyday people who wish they could have 20 seconds of their life to do over again. So it's possible. But in Joseph's particular case, is it probable? Welcome to Building Metal, brought to you by Baird & Wilson Sheet Metal. Joseph went from managing Potiphar's entire estate to serving a prison sentence. But guess who's over the king's prison system? Potiphar. And it just so happens that the king's prison itself was located on Potiphar's estate. But Joseph, now demoted, will report directly to the warden of the prison. But the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness, granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care, because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. This all sounds familiar. Potiphar's punishment of Joseph involved keeping someone this competent around, but transferring him to another job, far from Potiphar's wife. Joseph will not be executed, but he does end up in a dead-end position. He is a literal prisoner with an indefinite sentence. He is also, as usual, making everyone else's job easier and causing everything to run smoothly. So, what incentive would Potiphar or the warden have for him to ever be released? He is a Hebrew, not an Egyptian with any rights as a citizen. For him to ever get out, he would need outside help from someone more powerful than Potiphar. In the first year of Joseph's sentence, two high-ranking officials in Pharaoh's administration had done something, or at least appeared to do something, terribly wrong: the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Their titles indicate that they were rulers over others within their areas of responsibility. The cupbearer had direct access to Pharaoh and was responsible for quality control and security regarding anything related to what the king ate or drank. As kings and officials were often in danger of being secretly poisoned, those within this department had to be unquestionably trustworthy, were often eunuchs, served as close advisors, and were willing to ingest the potentially poisonous food or drink before it arrived at the king's table. In this way, they were like today's Secret Service. Centuries later, we read of Nehemiah filling the same role for the Persian king Artaxerxes. The chief baker was also over a large staff. Daily, a significant amount of bread was prepared not only to be eaten by the court of Pharaoh, but it was also used as offerings to the gods of Egypt by the many priests and religious mediators. Both officials had responsibility for the quality and security of the food. Perhaps something had gotten past them that endangered the king or someone else. In any case, whether they acted through neglect or malicious intent, both officials had been sentenced to prison, awaiting judgment. Potiphar himself had assigned them to be cared for by the reliable hands of Joseph. After they had been in custody for some time, each of the two men, the cupbearer and the baker of the king of Egypt, had a dream the same night, and each dream had a meaning of its own. When Joseph saw them in the morning, they looked dejected. When he asked them why, they explained that they both had mysterious dreams during the same night, and since they are in prison, there is no access to a diviner or someone who can interpret the dreams for them. Then Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." Joseph affirms that the source of interpretation is God, not a special person. God can reveal things to anyone. And so Joseph invites them to tell him the dreams. With nothing to lose, Joseph anticipates God using him to bless people once again, but in this case using him in a prophetic way to communicate what God was saying to the dreamers through their dreams. So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. He said to him, "In my dream, I saw a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. As soon as it budded, it blossomed, and its clusters ripened into grapes. Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and put the cup in his hand." The meaning was revealed to Joseph immediately. He said, "The 3 branches represent 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head." This is a Hebrew idiom that means to give someone status, dignity, or favor. In 3 days, the cupbearer will be lifted up to his previous position, where he will serve Pharaoh by putting his cup in his hand. Joseph then says to the cupbearer, "When all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon." The chief baker then spoke up. Seeing how things went well with the cupbearer, he told Joseph his dream. "On my head were 3 baskets of bread. In the top basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds were eating them out of the basket on my head." Joseph immediately gave God's interpretation. The 3 baskets are also 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head. So far, the interpretation sounds good. There's that idiom again. But in Hebrew, Joseph adds a modifying phrase after the idiom. He adds the words, "from you," turning the metaphor into a dire, literal sentence. Pharaoh will lift up your head from you. The chief executioner, Potiphar, will cut off the baker's head. But the interpretation gets far worse. Joseph reveals to the baker that after losing your head, your body will be impaled on a pole, and the birds will eat away your flesh. To an Egyptian, preservation of the body is important to have any existence in the afterlife. That's why they go to such extents to embalm and mummify noble people. Death is not the worst thing that could happen, but to publicly have a body rot and become dismembered by birds on a pole. This is not just death. This is eternal Egyptian damnation. Whatever the baker did, Pharaoh thought it was the worst. Now the 3rd day was Pharaoh's birthday, and he gave a feast for all his officials. He lifted up the heads of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker in the presence of his officials. The chief cupbearer received his position of honor once again, but the baker was beheaded and impaled, just like Joseph had said. Surely, this would be Joseph's ticket out of the prison. The cupbearer had to have been amazed to have seen the interpretations that God gave Joseph play out in front of him, and of course, would have mentioned him to someone in Pharaoh's administration as Joseph requested. The chief cupbearer, however, did not remember Joseph. He forgot him. It would be 2 years more for Joseph in prison before this officer of Pharaoh would think of him again. 2 more years in the pit of a dungeon with no sign of release, until one night, Pharaoh himself had a dream. Here are some tools to take with you. Number 1, there is no pit so deep that God is not deeper still. Number 2, if God is for us, who can be against us? And number 3, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. We'll be back again soon with more tools from Building Metal.